This is a malodectid, and I reckon you have most likely never even heard the word before. That said, if you don't know what a malodectid is, please don't beat yourself up over it. I'd wager good money that the vast majority of paleontologists don't know what a malodectid is either. Anyway, the short answer is it's an extinct marsupial predator belonging to the family Malodectidae. This particular species here is Malodectes mirabilis. It's from 15 to 17 million year old fossil deposits in northwest Queensland, Australia. In recent years, a whole bunch of new Malodectids have been described, including one named after me just a couple of weeks ago. And this is a pink-tongued skink, Cyclodomorphus gerardii. Strangely enough, it has a heck of a lot in common with Malodectes. It's all rather bizarre, and if you'd like to find out more, keep watching. Hi, I'm Professor Steve Wroe. I'm a paleontologist who does real paleontologist stuff, like reconstructing fossils, naming new species, publishing dozens of scientific articles, and supervising PhD students. I've even been known to get my hands dirty in the field, and this means that on this channel, you're watching real paleontology from a real paleontologist. Okay, so let's dive in a little deeper. Malodectes means hammer-tooth, and if you look at this image here, I think the reason why is pretty obvious. It has this huge hammer-like tooth. Now, funnily enough, I was the first person to describe malodectid material way back in 1998, although I didn't have a lot to go on, just these two isolated teeth. Certainly not enough to erect a new family on. Then, in 2011, Rick Arena and colleagues described some new and more complete material that included a small part of the skull. They named this Malodectes mirabilis and included the big hammer tooth I described in 1998 in the same genus, but as a new species, Malodectes moenia. Now, when we paleontologists try to figure the feeding behavior and ecology of fossil species, first thing we usually do is look for the closest living species with similar morphology to provide clues. Rick and friends did the same, but they kept drawing blanks. There really was nothing out there in the entire furry mammal world that resembled it at all. This is most unusual. But eventually, they did find a match. And here it is, a lizard, the pink-tongued skink. The resemblance is quite extraordinary. And what does the pink-tongued skink do for a crust? Snails. It's a very specialized snail crusher, and Malodectes was almost certainly a snail crusher too. Bizarre. I don't know of any other example in which the feeding ecology of a mammal has been figured out on the basis of similarity between its teeth and those of a reptile. However, with so little material, it was still really difficult to place it anywhere with any certainty in the marsupial family tree. Not only could we not be certain of which marsupial family it belonged to, we couldn't even be certain of which order. The next chapter in the hammer-toothed marsupial story was written in 2016, with the publication of this paper by Mike Archer and friends. Mike's a luminary in the Australian paleontology world and was my PhD supervisor way back in the 1990s. Anyway, in this new paper, they described this new material assigned to Malodectes from the Riversleigh World Heritage Fossil Site. It included molar teeth, which are usually highly informative for mammals especially. Finally, they were able to pigeonhole Malodectes at least to the level of order. It fitted quite comfortably among the Dasyuromorphians. This marsupial order contains three families: the Thylacynids, which includes the recently extinct Tasmanian tiger; the Dasyurids, which includes the Tasmanian devil and spotted-tailed quoll, and the numbat, which has a family all to itself. But the simple fact is that malodectids just did not sit comfortably in any of these three recognised families of Dasyuromorphians. So Mike and friends erected a new family, Malodectidae. Another addition to the hammer-tooth family was described in April of this year by Tim Churchill and colleagues, again on the basis of material from Riversleigh. This work was part of Tim's PhD. Mike Archer was his supervisor. This was another member of the genus Malodectes, Malodectes arenii here. It's a little less extreme than the previously described members of the genus. And they described yet another new species and genus of Malodectid in this paper. Weirdoodectes napoleoni is known from just a single tooth here, a first lower molar. But it is indeed very, very weird, and it doesn't seem to be a snail crusher. The morphology of this tooth is so strange that right now it's anyone's guess as to what it was eating. The new species of Malodectes was probably another snail crusher. In this paper, some other new fossils belonging to previously described species of Malodectes were included. These included fragments of their skulls and teeth thereto unknown, allowing the authors to have another crack at placing these strange beasts relative to other Dasyuromorphians. This maybe firmed things up a touch, but the position of our hammer-tooths remains a little sketchy. The most recent additions to the hammer-tooth marsupial saga were published just a few weeks ago in another paper here by Tim, Mike and Sue Hand. 3 new species, in fact. Platanodectes wesicresti, Exomachus robinbecki, and my personal favourite, Protomalius Steve Wroe. That's right, named after me. Got to say, I'm pretty chuffed about that. And now, with all these new data thrown into the mix, we are starting to get a firmer fix on their place in the Dasyuromorphian universe. And with as many as 8 species all told, the Malodectids are occupying a growing slice of it. Interestingly, along with these new Malodectids, Tim, Mike and Sue's analysis places this species, Berinio angala, within the hammer-tooth family. I know Berinio well. In fact, I described it here way back in 1999 as a very primitive member of the Dasyurid family, which includes everything from the Tasmanian devil down to the tiny but ferocious planigales. I've got to say that this is certainly plausible, but I'd need some more evidence before I'm totally convinced. The thing is that, with the exception of Berinio, all the other species included in the hammer-tooth family are known largely or entirely from partial jaws and teeth. No other Malodectids are represented by complete or even near-complete skulls. The presence or absence of a couple of key features could have very significant impacts on the shape and composition of this family tree. Anyway, I think I'll wind it up here. Hope you liked this little episode. If you did, please like and subscribe. Please make a comment too. I'm told the algorithm really likes that. I've been thinking about doing an episode on the Tasmanian tiger's ever-expanding list of possible relatives. Maybe you could tell me what you think of this idea. Either way, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day or night.